Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be discussing my birth plan, and I know I said in a recent video, I think it was a couple of vlogs ago, I said I wasn't going to do my birth plan until about 30 weeks or so, but I got anxious and my impatience got the best of me and I went ahead and did it anyway. It is a rough draft and it's not completely finalized yet because, like I said, it's still really early in the pregnancy. But it is good to start thinking about what you want in terms of your birth and different wishes that you have and things that you would prefer. So this is a rough draft and I do have lots of time to think about it and change some things if I decide to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I just have it typed out. First of all, I have my due date, which is September the 24th. I have the name of my doctor and my personal health number. I have a list of my support team, which is Zachary, who is the baby's father. I have my mom, my dad, my mother-in-law. Of course, the maintenance guy would come and bang around in the hallway when I decide to do a video. I'm really sorry if you can hear that. Also on my support team, I have my daughter Madison, my brother-in-law, and my sister. So I have quite a long list of people who are going to be there during the birth, probably going to be more because I have more sisters, my friends, my nieces and my nephew. Every time there's a birth in our family, there's always lots of people there, so that's kind of just the most important people who I know are going to be there no matter what. So, just a quick little note at the very beginning of my birth plan. I just wanted to say a few words to the nurses and other people who will be looking after us in the hospital. So I actually kind of got inspiration for this little blurb piece from Pinterest. So it says, "We thank you in advance for your kind support and attention to our wishes. We look forward to a wonderful, unmedicated birth. Please know that the gender of our baby is unknown and we're waiting for the birth to find out." And then it goes into a list of things that I'd like to happen or that I would prefer to happen during the 3 stages, which is labor, delivery, and newborn care. So I'll get into those. For labor, the first note is that Zachary is to remain present at all times during labor and delivery. He is the one and only person that I care about being there throughout the entire thing. Whether or not I am induced or if I have an emergency C-section, he's the only one that I want there throughout the whole thing. So the second point is, I would like to remain mobile throughout my labor and free to change positions, stand, walk, shower, bath, etc. So I found that in my last labor, the bath really helped with pain management as well as sitting on the birth ball and sort of rocking back and forth. I also like to stand and sort of lean over the bed and rock back and forth. So I'd like to have that mobility, that ability to be able to move around and change positions to how I see fit while I'm in labor. I would also like to be offered water or ice throughout labor because it is very exhausting and you get very thirsty very fast. So I would like to stay hydrated. I would like to be able to play my own music, and of course this is sort of something that I will have to decide while I'm in labor because I might not want there to be music. I might want it to be quiet, but if I do want music, I'd like to be able to play my own music instead of having, elevator music in the background or, just some random radio station. I would like to have that choice. I would also like to have a quiet room with dim lights, and the hospital where I'm giving birth is very, very good with that. When all 3 of my sisters were in labor, they all had nice, quiet, calm rooms. The lights were dimmed. The door was always closed. The blinds were closed. And it was just a really nice, quiet environment. And I don't have any concerns in that area, but I would like them to know that's what I would prefer. So in terms of pain management techniques, I have a long list of things that I would like to consider. I have relaxation and breathing, massage, birth ball, the shower or the bath, I would like to try a heat or a cold compress on my back and my head and my neck if I'm starting to feel cold or if I'm starting to feel hot. I would also consider trying the gas. I did use gas when I was in labor with Madison, and to be honest, it didn't really do anything. It kind of just made my fingers numb, but it did kind of take my mind off of the pain during contractions, and it did help a little bit, so I am going to consider using that. I have a note under pain management that epidural is not an option, and please do not ask me if I want an epidural. This is like the #1 thing that I am absolutely, what's the word I'm looking for? I have a total pregnancy brain fart right now, but that's the #1 thing on this list. Do not ask me if I want an epidural. Do not offer one. I don't want one. It's not an option. I watched Gabe and Jess's, she did a natural labor and delivery video not too long ago, and she said that the #1 thing that she told herself was that epidural is not an option. If you want to have an unmedicated birth but you're afraid that you're not going to be able to handle it, then just keep telling yourself epidural is not an option. And although I know that you can have easy access to it in a hospital, if I keep telling myself it's not an option, just you can't use it, you know, it's not for you, it's not what you want, then it'll happen. And I'm very confident that I'm going to be able to go through this birth without it. So that is absolutely #1 on my pain management list. Is it's not an option, don't even ask me. So the next on my list is I would like as little interventions as possible. So by this I mean I would like to have vaginal exams upon request or upon consent, like I have to ask or they have to ask me, and I'd like to have as few as necessary. I would like my membranes to stay intact for as long as possible. I don't want any stripping or stretching or breaking of the waters. I want everything to happen naturally, unless of course I do go over my due date and I have to be induced. Otherwise I have very little control over that, but I would like everything to just happen on its own. I would not like to have an IV or any medications unless it is deemed medically necessary, and I would like external fetal monitoring to be done at intervals. So I don't want to be connected to a machine. I don't want to have constant fetal monitoring unless they think that the baby needs it or they think that they have to keep an eye on the baby for long periods of time. Then I will consider doing the fetal monitoring where I'm like hooked up to the machine, but other than that I don't want to have to be restricted to the bed. So for the delivery, I have my choice of position during pushing as well as when to push, and I know my body better than anybody. I know what position will be most comfortable, which will be most beneficial. Of course I'll take advice from the nurses and from my doctor, but ultimately I'd like to have the decision of what position and when to start pushing. I also just mentioned here, please feel free to offer physical support while pushing. So if a nurse thinks it might be helpful to hold up my leg, or if someone wants to help hold my head or something, I will definitely be open to that. I definitely, under no circumstances, unless it is absolutely positively 100% necessary, I do not want an episiotomy. I didn't have any problems giving birth to Madison. I don't think I will need an episiotomy unless this child happens to be massive, or my birth canal just can't handle it. But I don't think it's necessary, and I just wanted to have it on here just in case, that I do not want an episiotomy. I would also rather not have any delivery assistance, such as the forceps and the vacuum. However, if it is needed, if it is absolutely necessary, I would prefer the vacuum being used over the forceps. Once the baby is born, I would like the baby to be given directly to me for skin-to-skin contact. Zachary would like to cut the umbilical cord, which I was really happy to hear that he had decided he wanted to do that. I would like to breastfeed directly after birth, of course, and to use local anesthetic for any necessary stitches if I happen to tear during birth. my goodness, I'm getting out of breath. In the event of a cesarean section, I would like one only in the case of a medical emergency, only if the baby cannot handle the birth, if the baby needs to be out in a matter of minutes. That's the only time I will ever consider a cesarean section. In the event of a C-section, Zachary is to stay with me at all times, and then with the baby once the baby is born. And then once the baby is born, I would like the baby to stay with me while I get stitched up, and then we can, until we are ready to be moved to recovery. I hope that makes sense. So I would like the baby to stay in the room with me, not to be brought somewhere else. Okay, and last but not least is newborn care. And I would like the baby to stay with myself and with Zachary at all times. The baby is to never leave our sight, never to leave the room without us. And we would like the doctors and nurses to perform all physical exams and procedures in the room while the parents are present. I would like breastfeeding only, so no pacifiers, no bottles or formula unless I give the consent. And Zachary is to stay with myself and the baby at all times. I don't want him to have to think or someone tell him that he can't stay with us for some reason. And I just want him to be there for the whole thing. So that is pretty much it. It is fairly short and straightforward. I didn't want it to be like this huge kind of like manual on what I want to happen during the birth. I did want it to be straightforward, easy for the nurses and the doctors and everybody to read. At the very end, I just wrote, "Thank you again for taking care of our family and being part of our birth." So that is pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, suggestions, or concerns concerning my birth plan, and if you have a birth plan video, I'd love to see it, or if you have one on Pinterest or anywhere else, I would love to see it. So go ahead and leave your comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.